Hello everyone, this is KimMeWyatt and Wyatt, and welcome to this video. Today, as promised, I am going to talk to you guys about alopecia, school you on some things that you may not have known about alopecia, several things, and also talk about my alopecia, which I did not know I have, is it permanent or temporary? Maybe, maybe not. And is there just one type of alopecia? First of all, looking at the title, you already know that there's more than one type of alopecia. First things first, though, subscribe to the YouTube channel and be sure to click the notification bell so that you will be one of the first to get notifications of new vids I post up. Also, scroll down at the very bottom where the text is posted for this video. If it's not there, it will be. And look at those 10 terms. I need you guys to look those 10 terms up. You're like, you need us to look them up. Yeah, I'm going to be kind of in your face when it comes to these terms because I'm a victim of gang stalking. And guess what? You may be too. Okay, a lot of people don't even know, sadly, that they're being gang stalked. Okay, and so instead of telling you at the beginning of every video like I was doing, I decided to go ahead and just put the terms within the text of the video so that they're permanent, which I promised. But what I didn't say was that I would no longer, tell you guys to look up these terms at the beginning. Saves a lot of time. Please look up these terms as mentioned in the text, 5 videos per term, which is going to yield 50 videos. Kimmy, that's a lot of videos. Okay, first of all, there's a reason for that. I'm asking you guys to look up more than one video because I am not the only victim of gang stalking. And so you're going to get, as with any subject, you're going to get a different variety of, a variety of opinions and facts from different people. But, and also just as a side note, most of these videos are anywhere from an average of 12 minutes, or something of the sort. You're not going to find too many that are, really, really long. Okay. So allow yourself some time when you've taken off of work or whatever. So I'm going to get started. First thing I want to tell you guys is that there's a difference between alopecia and someone's hair just will not grow. Please don't think that because someone has alopecia that, their hair just will not grow. You will be hard pressed to find that a lot of people who have alopecia had full heads of hair. Now, here we go. Oh, well, they had cancer. Of course, they had cancer in the chemo. Yeah. But there are 14 types of alopecia. So every type of alopecia is not because of cancer or chemo, in other words. So I had to adjust the camera. So let me just, excuse me, you guys, I'm trying to adjust. So let me just clarify that. Also, the picture that you're looking at belongs in my bathroom. I stole it for another video because I don't have a backdrop. So, I thought, okay, this is pretty cool. It's not too big, for this area. And so instead of you guys looking at a wall and a lamp on top of a desk, I was like, okay. So here we go. First thing, so back to what I was saying, basically. So in comparison to people's hair that's healthy and people's hair that will grow, please don't assume that because someone has alopecia that their hair will not grow or never did grow. Okay. And like I said, some people will say, well, they had cancer. Of course, I remember they had hair and because of their cancer. Yeah, but that's not the case in all cases. There are 14 types of alopecia and all of these people could have had hair at one point. Okay. And I'm going to go over every type of alopecia. But the first thing I'm going to say is the problem is not that hair will not grow. The problem is retaining that hair growth. And so unhealthy hair, scalp, /scalp or whatever stops hair from getting the right pH balance, moisture, elasticity, and normally blocks new growth. Okay. And so that's a healthy head of hair. And this camera is still a little off. There we go. Well, no, that's not. Okay. So wait, I'm more concerned with the bottom than anything else. There we go. No, it's not. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to go over facts first. Okay. Phases of hair growth. There are 3 phases of hair growth. So if you have alopecia or had alopecia, you know how this goes. But if you just found out you have alopecia, this is what happens. If your hair is in the process of regrowing, you're going to have the shadow phase. This is where it looks like, okay, I don't know what it looks like. It looks like a shadow, like you have a shadow on your head. The fuzz phase, which is where you can actually feel the hair, the fuzz. You put your hands on your scalp, you're going to be like, oh my God, I feel something. Your hair. And then the soft phase. This is where the hair has actually come in. This hair is probably in the length of centimeters. It's not long at all. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of women actually wear their hair this way. Sinead O'Connor. There's several women. I even remember when I was active in radio and I wore my hair really, it's like a boy cut. And I absolutely loved it. And my hair had been short, but never that short. Okay, so and I really, really loved my hair, and I went to a new beautician, white lady, and I saw how she cut a dude's hair, a white dude's hair, and I said, that's what I want. The intention of going there was going to, supposedly, black lady was recommended, and she was acting snooty patooty, and she was so busy and doing all that, and I was like, that's what I want. I want my hair like that, so don't judge people. I mean, this lady did an absolutely excellent job on cutting my hair. Second thing I want to tell you about hair growth is the cycle of hair. You've got the phases of hair growth, shadow, fuzz, and soft, and then you have the cycle of hair growth. And that's the anagen phase, which is the growth phase, the catagen phase, which is when the hair is in transition, and then you have the telogen phase, which is the resting phase. Yes, your hair does rest from growing, okay? And then you have the exogen phase, which is shedding and in preparation for new hair. And so, and those are both part of the exogen phase. Now, if you go online, you're going to see some websites are going to say or are going to mention 3 phases of hair growth. And I've gone back and forth with this doing research. I'm like, is it 3 phases or 4 phases? I only saw one website that said 4 phases. It was for men. And then I ran across another one. And I'm like, yeah, this makes sense. It's actually 4 phases of hair growth. Okay. Also, I want to tell you another fact. 90% of alopecia cases, the hair actually grows back or fills in bald spots. But reoccurrences, keep in mind, are common, so there's no cure for alopecia. Let me say that again. Yes, your hair can regrow back, but that doesn't mean that your alopecia has gone into, well, that would be remission if it's growing back. But that doesn't mean that it's been cured. 2 different things, okay? So keep in mind, once again, 90% of alopecia cases, the hair has the possibility of growing back, but that does not mean that what caused the alopecia has been cured. So there's a chance for reoccurrence. Another thing I want to tell you, there's the reasons for alopecia are inclusive of this: hormonal imbalance, autoimmune diseases. Autoimmune diseases, as a side note, can include celiac disease, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, erythematous, inflammatory bowel disease, Graves' disease, as well as multiple sclerosis and type 1 diabetes. Okay, genetics, family history. Some people in your family, or at least one person in your family, has alopecia. Stress, very, very common reason for getting alopecia. And this is including stress to the hair. And you'll find out what alopecia that is when there's stress to the hair. I'm going to discuss that, which is also inclusive of manipulation. And medication. Medication can cause alopecia. And a combination of these, you guys, remember, it could be your medication as well as stress. It can be genetics or family history. And then here you go taking this medication. Pregnancy can be the cause of alopecia, as well as other short-term or long-term diseases. And this is including cancer. All right. Some more facts. Hypotrichosis. Do any of you know what hypotrichosis is? Hypotrichosis actually means, in simple terms, that there was never any hair to start with. So that's not alopecia. Let me say that again. Hypotrichosis absolutely has nothing to do with alopecia. That means that person never had any hair to start with. And there are people on the planet such as this, but that has nothing to do with alopecia. Alopecia means there was hair there and it's gone. Okay, the hair has since been removed, and a lot of that has to do with age. There's like a couple of alopecias that will get progressively worse from the age of 15 to 30, etc. So I'm going to go over all that. And also, the alopecia causes scarring. Like, you can actually, you can see, like, okay, the scalp is one color, but in the spot where the alopecia is, if this is the case, it's darker, or whether alopecia has started or finished or whatever. Then if scarring is left behind by alopecia or of any type, you can just about bet that it's usually a permanent type of alopecia. So once again, if scarring of the scalp is the result of alopecia, meaning there's a darker scarring, like you bruise your arm and it's like a little darker than the rest of your skin color. Same thing with alopecia. If alopecia causes scarring of the scalp, you can just rest assured that that's going to be a permanent, or that is a permanent type of alopecia. All right. And you will be hard pressed to find a lot of these are temporary. Okay. So last thing I'm going to do before I actually go into the descriptions of the alopecia is give you just the overall listing of the 14 types of alopecia. Okay. Postpartum, cicatricus, telogen effluvium, universalis, diffuse, totalis, traction, barbae, frontal fibrosing. And frontal fibrosing, by the way, is permanent if not detected early. Okay. So it's very critical that whatever's going on with you, if you have alopecia, most of these are just temporary. You got to change whatever, fix whatever, if possible, whatever caused your alopecia, especially if it's like stress or something you can take care of. Even your medication. You're like, okay, I'm losing my hair. Can you get me something else? Okay, go natural with your medication. And I'm not a doctor. I'm not trying to be a doctor. I'm not professing to be a doctor. Don't want to be a doctor. I'm not trying to profess. So please consult your physician, but you have the right to inquire about your health, and that includes your hair and skin. Okay. Androgenic, which is also called androgenetic alopecia. Androgenetic, I'm rubbing my face. Areata, very popular alopecia. Anagen effluvium. And the last two are ophiasis and chignon. Chignon. And also, I'm going to say this, temporary, the ones that I'm going to tell you that are temporary, this means that the hair may grow back once again if the factors that cause the alopecia are eliminated, but doesn't mean there's a cure. I've mentioned that a couple of times different ways, okay? So let me go ahead and get started. And also, just a little fact, the hair follicle, you guys, is from the scalp down, meaning into the head. So if someone says, well, the hair follicle, you're going to know that's from the scalp. Ooh, did you hear that? From the scalp. I'm losing my voice. From the scalp, underneath the scalp is the hair follicle. The hair shaft is from the scalp outward. So just, if you ever hear me talking about the hair follicle, that means deep, or not deep, but underneath the scalp. If I say something about the hair shaft, which makes sense, it's from the scalp outwards, okay? So first type of alopecia I mentioned to you guys, as far as the list, is postpartum alopecia. Now, postpartum alopecia is temporary, okay? Let's see, at the end of pregnancy, very little occurs during pregnancy. This is when it happens. But excessive shedding takes place from 3 to 9 months after delivery, usually returns to growth cycle within a year after the baby is delivered. So postpartum is a temporary alopecia. All right. Here is another one. Cicatrical. Okay. This one is permanent. So if you hear someone say they have cicatrical alopecia, you will know right off from listening to this that that is a permanent alopecia, sadly. And it destroys the hair follicles and replaces them with scar tissue. Remember I said if it causes scar tissue, you can look at the person's scalp. If there's scar tissue there, probably going to be permanent, okay? But I like to believe that, our bodies are absolutely phenomenal. And if you really change your diet, and I'm talking over 2 years, especially if it's considered a permanent alopecia, and you're doing the same thing consistently, changing your total diet, changing how you eat, etc. I like to believe that, even the permanent alopecias, something can happen. And let me make a note to you guys. I mentioned the hair shaft and the hair follicle, the follicle being up under the scalp, the shaft being what grows out. When you have alopecia, something is detrimental is that, and I always liken our hair unto a plant, a perennial. Please don't think if you're taking something for it, regardless of medication you're taking for it, regardless of natural remedies, regardless of my products for, hair, please, which totally helps with alopecia, by the way, the types that definitely will grow back. Please don't think it's going to happen overnight. A lot of people, even if you don't have alopecia, people will put things on their scalp, their hair, and it could be the most wonderful thing for the health of their hair, and they think something's going to happen overnight because they have an anxiety attack and they think of sort, and they think this is going to happen overnight. No, nothing happens overnight. I have to say that depending on what phase of hair growth, what cycle your hair growth is in, okay, the anagen phase, which is the growing phase. Yes, there's things happening under the surface that you probably cannot see. As a matter of fact, you can't see. But I liken our hair unto a plant, which basically means that your hair is literally growing. It is going, and there's something going on. I'm going to pause this for a minute because there's a dog barking. Just a moment. Okay, yeah, you notice my voice was going up. Okay, so, so back to what I was saying, and thanks for that. As I liken our hair unto a perennial. A perennial, by the way, you're like, Kimmy, what is a perennial? Okay, there's 2 types of plants that grow on the planet, annuals and perennials. That's it. Okay. Annuals are those pretty cutesy little flowers that you can get at the local hardware store or whatever that has plants. And guess what? They're not coming back out next year. Okay. These are the plants that you usually will find and landscaping of buildings because they already know it's not going to come out. And then this is not the greenery where the landscaping is for buildings, companies and things like that. But if there's flowers, chances are, because they have people that come out all the time, they're not going to have perennial flowers that come out every year. They want something different. Now, the shrubbery, the trees, etc., those are perennials. Okay. And so they're going to come out every year. But when it comes to the flowers, you're going to say, oh, this is cute. They didn't do this last year, if you're thinking that way. Perennials, on the other hand, as mentioned, come out every year. So I liken our hair unto perennials to this degree. There's something, just like a plant, there's something going on under your scalp. Get over yourself. It's not just going to come out. It's not just going to say, boop, I'm here. Hello, world. No, it's not going to happen that way. When there's, in cases of alopecia, if you have alopecia, I'm going to tell you, you may not, and this is the drastic part of this, you keep doing what you're doing. Whatever your doctor's telling you to do, if someone has told you to take this and change your diet and start eating this, even my product, please, once again, don't think it's going to happen overnight. Your hair, it's cellular, okay? So your hair, your body's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on. Excuse me. She's doing something a little different. He's doing something different. Okay, nah, it's just temporary. I'm going to go back to sleep. Excuse me. Let me get some water, just a moment. Okay, instead I opted for some green tea, okay, unsweetened, so you know where that's going in my smoothies. Yeah, so what's going to happen once again is that your hair underneath the scalp is doing something, just know that. And to help that, and this is with anyone that's trying to grow their hair, massage your scalp frequently as much as possible. You're looking at TV, get your hands, your fingers, and really massage your scalp, or have your spouse while you guys are watching TV or something. You may lay your head in your scalp's lap, your spouse's lap, and just something just kind of sexual. And by the way, I do have a romance and relationships playlist, and I'm going to be focusing on videos coming up really soon about romance and relationships. And another note, Kimmy this week, is dead. Okay, I have 19 playlists, 300 plus videos, you guys, and I can no longer do KimMe this week because, as you can see, I'm going to be focusing on more on my hair and skincare line, as well as other playlists that I already have. So, yeah, KimMe this week. Don't know if I'm going to keep those videos there, and I'm telling people you better watch those videos because I'm not for sure if I'm going to remove those videos from the YouTube channel altogether, or just leave them there and disable them, or yeah, I don't know. So go ahead and watch those videos. And I think there's like 80 something. I started, I think, in 2016. KimMe this week. Go figure. But there's some that overlap. Like I didn't do one for 3 weeks. I didn't do one for 4 weeks. I think 5 weeks was the longest time I did not do a video. And then I finally combined everything. So I forgot to tell you guys that at the beginning. So once again, your hair is doing something under there. And this is what I started saying before I had to get something to drink. Even regardless of product, regardless of medicine, regardless of changing your diet, if the case of you growing your hair is trying to grow your hair back is because of alopecia, especially, okay, kind of true for just, healthy hair, a healthy head, but way true for someone with the case of alopecia, it's going to take a moment. It's going to take a moment for your cells to regenerate. It's going to take a moment for your whole entire body to change back to norm, okay, or go to norm. And so, well, back to norm, because usually alopecia is a result of having hair and then losing it. So don't think that the person, you may start that it's starting the same regimen with you. They have hair, never had alopecia. You have had alopecia, but you guys go try the same product, my product, for instance, or products. And you're like, oh my God, it's growing your hair, but it's not growing mine. It doesn't mean it's not growing your hair. It's just that she doesn't have alopecia. You have alopecia. Your cells are different. She eats all kind of candy, but she doesn't have alopecia. And so although your alopecia is trying to go in remission in cases of cancer, you got to let your body do what it has to do, okay? Also, regardless, your hair has to go through the phases of hair growth just like her hair. So your hair may be looking like it's in the shadow phase, and it may be, and then going into the fuzz phase, but then it just stops. Well, it really didn't. It stopped, kind of. But like her hair and everyone else's hair, your hair has to go through these cycles of hair growth, and you're just in the resting phase. Okay, so don't relax. Don't get excited. Okay, so and then you'll see your hair growing again, especially if whatever caused your alopecia is in remission. All right, so here we go. So I talked about 2, postpartum alopecia, temporary, cicatrical alopecia, permanent. All right, now let me go to number 3. Okay, number 3 alopecia is called telogen, Teleogen. No, I don't think that's spelled right. Telogen. I think it's Telogen, so correct me on that. Oh, excuse me. Okay, so what happens with this alopecia is from 6 weeks to 3 months, a shedding may begin, okay? Does this sound familiar to anyone? And it's possible to lose handfuls of hair. This is a temporary alopecia, however. And once again, when I say temporary, you guys, there's a possibility that your hair will grow back if you change, or there's a change in diet, change in medicine, change in this, and change in stress factors and all that, okay? So this is a temporary alopecia. So it's possible to lose handfuls of hair at a time when in full-blown telogen. It is telogen. I'm like, where did this E come from? It's telogen effluvium, which is what it's called. It can go into remission, okay, temporary, as long as the events that causes it can be destroyed. Didn't I just say that? Woo. Okay, for some women, telogen effluvium is a mysterious chronic disorder that can persist for months or years. Without any true understanding of the triggering factors. You know what I mean? I'm losing my hair, and I'm losing my hair. And I go to a lot of pages like you guys do, or a lot of videos, and read comments. That's normal on YouTube. And you cannot imagine, maybe you can, the comments that I've read, and people are talking about their hair is coming out in patches. My hair is coming out in patches. And I've even helped some people, and told them what to do. Even from my hair so thin, okay, well, you need to do this and do that. So as long as those triggering factors have been taken care of, then the hair will grow back. 90% of the hair is in the anagen phase, which is the growing phase, and the catagen phase, which is transitional phase, can actually shift all at once to the resting phase, which is the telogen phase of growth. Usually attributed to trauma, such as childbirth, extreme stress, malnutrition, severe infection, or a major surgery can also cause this as well. So be careful. Well, no, be careful. You have to have the surgery, but that can, it can also cause that. And also, I didn't tell you guys this. When I talk about the cycles of hair growth, please don't think your entire head is doing this at the same time. Your entire head of hair, your strands, the hair shaft is resting. All of the hairs on my head is resting. Oh no, all of the hairs on my hair is growing. No, it's every single piece of hair, every single strand of hair on your head is going through its own phase. So some of your hair may be in the telogen phase, where some may be in the anagen phase. Okay, and they may be in sections. Like for instance, to the your hair right there by your ear. Oh, this is long. It's longer. Oh, it's longer on the other side. And the thing that I found with my head, and my stuff is even. If my hair is growing, it's grown on the left side of my ear, on the left side up by my ear, the same hair on the other side has grown. If my hair in the top has grown, split it in the middle. Okay, so yeah. So everyone's head is different, and yours may be like that. Fourth one is called universalis. Universalis alopecia simply means that all body hair is lost, and it affects 1% of the people on the planet, and it is permanent. Okay, and by the way, number 3, which is telogen, is temporary, and I think you guys kind of caught on to that. Number 5, diffuse alopecia, diffuse, aka alopecia areata incognita, is also what it's called. This is a temporary alopecia. It's very rare. It's a rare form of alopecia, and it affects primarily young females. Some of the comments that I was mentioning earlier, or just mentioned, were coming from young females, 15, 18, I'm 16, some males, and they couldn't understand why their hair was coming out. I'm like, okay, at the time, I really didn't know it was alopecia, but I gave them some suggestions, most of them, on how to grow their hair and what it could possibly be. And then I thought, you have alopecia, okay? So it primarily affects females, and the hair loss is radical and sudden, okay? And it must you got to get to the underlying cause of this alopecia. You got to get to it. Number 6, this one is permanent, but not necessarily. So I started just put temporary, but you'll see why I didn't. I'm like, it's permanent, but there's hope. Okay, totalis, Totalis, totalis alopecia starts with small round patches of hair loss and progresses until total scalp hair is lost. 30% of patients' complete hair loss occurs 6 months after onset of the disease. So with 30% of the patients, or in cases of people who have totalis alopecia, 6 months later, all of their hair is gone. Okay, it affects about 5 to 10% of the alopecia cases. And when the condition progresses to full-blown alopecia totalis, universalis, which is the name, it goes from just totalis to totalis universalis. The chances for regrowth decreases substantially. So you got to catch this one really quick. And if there's any chance of the hair growing back, which is why I said it's permanent, but maybe not. Okay. Number 7, traction. Ooh-wee. Okay, all of you Black African ladies, listen up. This is what's going on with you, most of you, in lieu of having some other ones. Okay. If you don't have any alopecia, you're lucky. Totalis. Remember when you were growing up, if you are old school, and your mom would put these plaits on your head in the form of with rubber bands? And you're like, ouch, ouch, ouch. Oh my God, that hurts. You wake up the next day and you've got little pus balls around there. And even today, women will get their hair braided. And I can't believe anyone is still doing this after we've gone through some stuff, you guys. We know how to correct this. But when you get your hair braided, and around the edges, you have these little pus balls, white little balls of pus in the form of bumps. That is traction alopecia, or forms of traction alopecia. Traction alopecia is localized trauma to follicles from tight hairstyles that pulls the hair over time. Okay, if detected early, this is temporary. The hair will regrow, and you guys know that. Braiding, cornrows, tight ponytails, and extensions, etc., all contribute to traction alopecia. And the hair is literally pulled out of the follicle, taking out the root and the bulb. Okay, the root / bulb, which is basically the same thing. And like I said, you're going to have white bumps with pus or scaling may occur around the affected area. That's the alopecia I have. Okay, let me tell you why. I have alopecia. I didn't know this is what it was. I just chalked it up to, girl, I knew I had pulled the bulbs out of my scalp well over 20 years ago. They're growing back. My product. Yay. But what happened was, and how I got mine is traction. I used to wear, like a lot of people who are listening to this, I used to wear the weave with the glue. I used to glue my weave on with glue. And you glue it to the scalp and you pull it out. Okay, the hair grows back. You pull it out again, the hair grows back. And because hair on the head can be different thicknesses and different coarsenesses, there you go. The hair where it's pulled out and where I have the alopecia was my thinnest hair. And so I did not realize, even being careful, even seeing my hair, when I pull the glue out, I'm like, oh, little white stuff, my bulbs are stuck on the glue. That's now, I'm looking at it, it's on the weave, and okay. But you know, it's one of those things where you get obsessed with having these hairstyles, and not that you are obsessed with having long hair, you're obsessed with having these hairstyles. And I want to clarify that, you know, back in the day, people would get the perception that Black African women wore weave because we wanted long hair. I mean, well, maybe not, but we're pretty good at trying to be ourselves. And so it was just that we like different hairstyles. So there's a difference. And Black African men especially they had a field day. Especially back in the 80s with with us wearing weave. And I was one of those ladies. I wasn't the worst case scenario. I'm telling you, not even remotely close, but I did wear them. So that's where my traction alopecia comes from. Number 8, you guys, is an alopecia that is for men. Okay. And I don't know if I said it, but traction alopecia is temporary. This alopecia is also temporary. Men get this alopecia unless you are a woman with a beard, but alopecia barbae, and it affects the beard only, and it can be a single patch of hair loss across the entire beard, and it's caused by autoimmune. Okay, it's caused by an autoimmune disease, one or more of the ones that I mentioned to you guys at the beginning. Okay. Number 9, this is again permanent if not detected early. Frontal fibrosing. Okay. Frontal fibrosing is a scarring type. Remember what I said earlier? If it scars the scalp, then chances are 9 times out of 10, it's going to be a permanent one. Okay. And this affects postmenopausal women, usually a band of symmetrical hair loss on the front / sides. So meaning the front and the sides of the scalp near the forehead, so from the forehead back, that worsens over time. Half of the people that get this also experience eyebrow loss, some eyelash loss, and loss in other areas of the scalp and face. The cause is thought to be autoimmune as well. One of the autoimmune causes that I mentioned earlier, and suspected hormonal components, as it mostly affects postmenopausal women. Okay. Number 10. Oh, wow. This is the most popular alopecia. Okay. No, this is the one number 11 is. Number 10 is androgenic, also called androgenetic alopecia. This is a permanent alopecia, however. Diffuse thinning of hair on all areas of the scalp will occur, may have two pattern types of thinning. It is due to actions of androgens, and these are male hormones that are only present in small amounts, also known as male/female pattern baldness. Most progressive, okay, it is the most progressive alopecia, and it's believed to be genetic and hereditary. And it can start after puberty. Remember I said some of those young ladies, oh, my hair, I'm 15, I'm losing my hair. The age of 15 to 30 years, and it increases with age. Okay, I hope this stops. I remember some of them, I hope this stops. And some of these people were males. And it can be tied to ovarian cyst, taking high androgen index birth control pills. You think some of these ladies may be taking birth control pills? Okay. Pregnancy and menopause. Just like men, the DHT hormone appears to be least partially to blame. Small hair follicles in women suffering from female pattern baldness and heredity plays a major factor. In men, it is associated with coronary heart disease, or also associated with coronary heart disease, high blood pressure, enlarged prostate, prostate cancer, diabetes, and obesity. And in women, it's associated as well with increased risk of polycystic ovary syndrome, also called PCOS, P-C-O-S in parentheses. Okay, well, if you want to put them in parentheses. Here is the one that affects the most people on the planet. And this one is a temporary. And by the way, number 10 was, I think I did tell you, number 10, which is androgenic, also called androgenetic, is permanent. Number 11 is temporary. Okay, this affects 6.8 million alopecia cases in the U.S. alone. And it's based on, and this is based on a lifetime risk of 2.1%. Regrowth with or without treatment. Okay. And it's temporary, but it's the most popular. There is chances for regrowth with or without treatment. And this is where your own immune system attacks the roots of your hair follicles, including pattern shedding, which may, it may be quite suddenly, in other words. Okay, it may be quite suddenly, and it's unrecognized. You'll unrecognize, and your hair is still going to start falling out in patches and spots, and patches range from about 1/8 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. Okay. The affected areas are usually lighter due to poor blood supply to the area. So remember, scarring. If it's a lighter area, looking at the scalp, chances are the hair is going to grow back. If the scalp is showing darker areas, but the rest of the rest of the scalp is a little lighter, that area, if not in the entire head, that area, which will probably be scarring, the dark part, is a clear indication that chances are that person's hair is not going to grow back. All right. So let me go ahead and go to number 12. Okay, number 12 is temporary. This is anagen effluvium. Anagen effluvium is any insult to the hair follicles that impairs its cellular level mitotic or metabolic activity. Commonly associated with, guess what? Chemotherapy. There you go. So when you see people that have had chemotherapy, their hair falls out. Let's say they have another type of alopecia, this is normally the alopecia that they have. And it's called anagen effluvium. All right. Since chemo targets rapidly dividing cancer cells, this means that your body's other rapidly dividing cells, such as hair follicles in the growing anagen phase, are greatly affected. Soon after chemo begins, 90% or more of the hairs in the anagen phase can fall out. The characteristics finding in anagen effluvium is that the tapered fracture of the hair shafts. Okay, so it's the tapered fracture of the hair shafts, which means the shaft narrows as a result of damage to the matrix. Okay, and eventually the shaft fractures at the site of the narrowing and causes hair loss. So the hair will start thick, and it's going to like a cone, like an ice cream cone, of sorts. As an example, or just to give an example of how that's going to look. The last two I'm going to tell you about, and like I said, that one is temporary. Let's see, yeah. And so number 13 and 14, let's get to it. Number 13 is ophiasis alopecia. This is a certain type of alopecia areata where the loss of hair is in a wave pattern. Okay, literally. You have seen people, men even, where they're, especially men, and they're bald, but they have hair here and they have hair there, but it looks like a wave kind of pattern thing going on. That is ophiasis alopecia. And then lastly, number 4, and it's temporary, by the way. And the last one is temp as well. And this is chignon, C-H-I-G-N-O-N, alopecia. Now, this is a type of attraction. Remember, I said number 7 is traction alopecia. This is a type of traction alopecia, where loss starts at the crown of the head, caused by hair shaped or styled in a tight bundle for a very long time. These are your ballet dancers, okay? They usually have, because they're so used to having, and I understand this because I took ballet for years, you have to have your hair in a bun or pulled back. That's a no-no. You'll actually get in trouble if you're in school to take classes. You will get, we got points taken off of us when we did not have our hair pulled back, okay? Up in a bun, make it do what it do, but it cannot be your face. You know, it's distracting, and you may be doing a pirouette, and you turn around and your hair slaps you in the face. You know, that's not good. So this is Kimmy Wyatt. If you have questions, please post those questions as comments below. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, and also like the video. Okay, if you have questions, my product, by the way, as I mentioned several times during the video, actually helps with growing alopecia. Alopecia that's reversible. I have created a playlist that is going to focus totally on my skin and hair care products individually. So there will be videos coming up really soon. Some that are already posted up rather, and other playlists will be there as well. So I have created that, but there's nothing there right now. But you know, I can transfer and will transfer videos I've already done there. So love you guys. Thank you guys for the support. Also, please check out those Kimmy This Week videos. I don't know if I'm going to keep them there, so check them out. Starting at the beginning, or I would start at the beginning. I really would go to the very beginning, and so you can actually see different apartments I've had, and different scenery, and a couple of ways I've had to sleep, you know, because even though I have the Blue Cup in the Attic playlist, which is about my gang stalking and spying, and I also have the Blue Cup in the Attic circumstance or evidence. Circumstance or evidence, by the way, is actually called TBCITA, the acronyms for the Blue Cup in the Attic circumstance or evidence. I've mentioned how I've had to sleep outside of those two in some Kimmy This Weeks. And where I'm actually showing you guys how I had to sleep the night before or whatever. So check all of that out, and you'll see me blossom into, I guess, whatever I am right now. Okay. All right. Hasta la vista. Buenas horas, buenas noches. Arrivederci, au revoir, salida. Don't let the doorknob hit you where the good Lord split you. Ciao, Bella. Ciao, Bello. Gotta go. Smooches. Bye. And don't forget to look at those terms at the very bottom where the text is posted. Bye.